Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. All right, welcome everyone to the Week in Italian Startup, where Nicolo and we dissect the latest news happening in the Italian ecosystem. What's up, Nick?
Ciao, Jack. All's great. Welcome back to the podcast.
Awesome. So let's start with the biggest round of last week. Connected Story, an edtech startup raising 2 million euro from Blacksheep. I thought that was particularly interesting because it's MadTech. Blacksheep is a kind of a newish fund that is very, very focused on marketing and advertising technology. The story of Blacksheep is pretty interesting because it's basically been funded by previous very successful entrepreneur into the advertising space, and right now what they're doing is helping out the ecosystem evolve through technology by supporting companies like Connected Stories. So let's talk about that.
As you said, Blacksheep is a vertical fund. There are not many of them in Italy. In the digital sector in particular. So it's one of the few that they decided to go after a specific medtech vertical with international focus. And as a matter of fact, Connected Stories is not an Italian company, even though the founding team are Italian. I think it's based out of the US. And as you said, the fund is pretty recent, Blacksheep, and we met them quite a few times recently because they've been investing and taking up pace in a sense in the investment phase. It's pretty good. The startup, we want to say something about it?
So I thought it was super interesting because that's the next level of ad technology where, we saw already messaging targeting audiences, then messaging targeting people, and now we have videos targeting people. So basically the idea is to customize the video ad as much as possible toward a specific target. And these guys are developing platforms that allow to do that, and they're working with some of the biggest brands on the planet. So I thought it was very, very relevant.
Yeah, from the homepage, the number of customer logos on their homepage is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
They go from Nestlé, McDonald's, Audi, Neva, Sky.
Impressive.
Definitely impressive. Yes.
I mean, the value proposition, I thought it was very strong, especially because video is basically conquering the advertising space. People are engaged way more with videos than any other form of communication. It's natural, it's direct. And big brands are sensitive to that. So they're very well positioned, I believe.
And in addition, I was following some Twitter hates recently regarding YouTube starting to pre-rolling longer advertising sessions. That means that things are changing even further. So YouTube is becoming like traditional television.
Exactly, I was thinking the same.
But with the capability to fully understand the specific viewer. So this is something that perfectly matches with Connected Stories. So very interesting trend there.
Oh, totally.
And one more. That's probably also connected to the ongoing discussion about the internet becoming cookieless. So one of the other problems, pinpointing the viewer in this case and showing exactly what is best for him as a consumer, her or as a consumer. So there are a lot of moving trends here that are coming together.
Yeah, I mean, in the ad space, we have basically a lot of ingredients, and data is one, AI is another one, traditional digital strategies is another one. It's moving fast, and people still recognize that it's there and it's here to come. So videos is going to be always more pervasive. So that's super interesting.
Yeah, look at where we are.
Yeah, exactly. There we go, and we love it.
Yes, we do.
Awesome. So moving on, let's talk about CDP investing from the Fin+Tech acceleration program, which I was checking out. Is basically started back in only like about a year ago, I would say, and we've seen basically the first newborn, I would say, out of the acceleration program. So it's good news, I would say. And if we want to maybe discuss a little more about the three different companies, so it's going to be Aptus, Flowbe, and Sense. Just to give an overview, a lot of them are in the fintech space in one way or another. So maybe just roughly, I would maybe start with Aptus is essentially supporting people being able to be up to date with financial regulation through ML algorithms. So they try to simplify this process of being always up to date. Very specific target, I would say, very specific application of natural language processing. So that's probably something super interesting. Flowbe is a company that is working on essentially data security, having transactions which are safe and structured. So again, that's something extremely valuable for many, like the company department, corporate department, like accounting, auditing, and document management in general. Not too much information, I would say, but definitely something sensitive in terms of vertical. And finally, Sense. It's a very interesting concept, very simple but very powerful. So they allow e-commerce to add additional donation to the end part of the shopping cart, where as you buy, you can donate to your favorite charity that you can select, or the company itself of the e-commerce can actually select charities for which you're raising funds. So it's very interesting, I would say, user experience play / impact company. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, good. Not much to add here, other than it is interesting that CDP decided to basically lead this follow-on. So by €500,000 for each of the three startups. From the news, I'm not aware of any other major investor joining the rounds.
I think it's 500 total. It's not for each startup. I think complessivo is like
maybe you're right.
So they're like starting small and then kind of probably building it up. But yeah, that's an awesome sign. I agree.
Oh yeah. That's you're probably right. Yep.
Interesting.
And I believe that there's also they're announcing also the second batch of the accelerator coming up. So we are already there. It seems like yesterday then CDP started launching the acceleration programs. So now
yesterday we were keeping count of all the acceleration launched, and now
we are already entering
the first babies. Exactly. That's really cool. Right, moving on. CDP is a big protagonist last week with the collaboration with BPER Banca, in particular, announcing Gility, a training platform for small and medium enterprise, where probably was the big investment if we also count the joint ventures in this case. So great announcement. Very interesting in terms of supporting companies to digitize and to build digital knowledge. So it's an edtech play, I would say. Probably they're gonna try to make it available to a lot of companies. So it's really gonna be pretty powerful. And let's see what they come up with.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprise is not the right word, but it's directionally correct that a bank and CDP have been together in order to launch a edtech platform for employees in SMEs. That's a bit, that's something not obvious in this sequence of a sequence of words that I just said. But it seems that they are betting heavily on this particular service. I don't know. We'll see what comes out of it. In a sense, we have been seeing and we are seeing several platforms coming up with this type of ideas for educating people.
Totally.
In their work environment,
Totally.
their private education, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
I found two points particularly interesting. One that you say is like, okay, so it's an edtech company basically, and it's a extremely well-funded edtech company with 12 million. In Italy, a few companies in the edtech space have that kind of money. So I thought it was powerful for comparing maybe to non CDP backed or BPER bank backed companies. So that was an interesting. So it's probably gonna become, or has the chance at least to become, a big player. And the other element that I found interesting is that it was built from within the company. So BPER is basically investing in it through Boost Innovation, which is the corporate venture builder of CDP, which essentially means is a project that they co-created and they're launching together. So it's I don't know. We'll see if it's going to be a good example of corporate venture or not. But I'm very curious about this.
Yeah, for sure. The real actor here is Boost Innovation. That's kind of a strange type of operator, because in essence it's a fund managed by CDP Venture Capital, but with this particular positioning, whereas it co-invests in, let's say, spin-offs or spin-outs or projects coming from within big corporations.
Yeah.
So it's not, strictly speaking, startups and VCs exactly, some kind of particular corporate development, entrepreneurship, stuff like that. So it's
totally
slightly different area of investment actually.
Totally. So. Right. Talking about banks, let's talk about Intesa. Intesa raising his 250 million euro flagship fund investing in innovation. So what is interesting about Intesa is that they've been playing with the startup ecosystem for a long time, I would say, in different forms, both with the venture debt and the equity investment. So I think they have a very, very good idea on where and how to move. And now, this is the coronation of a great project, raising probably one of the biggest fund I would say, at least in Europe, as a single fund. So yeah. Definitely a very interesting project.
Yeah, I have to say that this is not new news, because we knew it already. But this is basically an official article profiling the fund and announcing their targets, and somehow telling the world that Neva is there, is investing. They close the fund and they're operating at least across Europe and Israel.
Yeah.
So good. Even though it's still a corporate venture capital fund. So they're one of the biggest in Italy, and still it's not an independent one. It's
that's a good point.
It's a corporate VC.
It's
so bittersweet. So I'm very happy that's there and they're operating and they're investing, but still.
Why bittersweet? It can be a good player. I'm
very happy.
It can be awesome.
That's for sure. It's a corporate creating. So one of the biggest problems we have, so the limitations that they're slowly creating new operators, and in particular in that area of the market, so a bit of a later stage of investing. But it will take time. We will get there.
Totally. And what I thought also curious is the deployment is pretty fast. They're planning, if I'm not wrong, to deploy all capital until August 2024, which is like day after tomorrow, pretty much. So it's going to be a very interesting injection of capital, maybe a little bit across Italy, but not only that. So that's interesting.
well, I have to say that I don't expect them to deploy 250 million by 2024, but probably completing the portfolio build up by 2024.
Got it.
And I have to say that in the last few months, we've seen them participating in quite sizable rounds. I remember a couple of startups from Israel where they invested in the 50 plus million rounds, participated at least in those rounds. So I don't expect them to input just 1 million in those rounds, but something more important in terms of capital.
Interesting. All right, let's talk about Nexi. Today we are banking, finance, and payments. Those are the keywords. So people taking another shot at some form of digital currency, call it cryptocurrency. Maybe it's not the right word now, but at the end, that's what it is. It's an attempt to make like a digital currency. So it's a payment giant Nexi, basically working with the European Central Bank to find a way around, well, not around, but actually building it, building a digital euro. That's the idea. What is your comment on that? That's a pretty, I don't know.
I mean, on the flip side, it's very interesting that we've got an Italian champion working with the ECB on something like, the digital euro.
Yeah.
That's kind of mind-blowing on a certain extent. But on the other side, I don't know, the digital euro. I mean, if you think about it, fiat money is pretty much digital today.
That's it.
In the sense that it flows mostly digitally. But the only big difference between a cryptocurrency and the fiat money, not the only one, but the big difference is that fiat money flows. I mean, it's there and it moves. You can't control the fact that I've got €5, a bill of €5 moving around from one person to the other. But you can perfectly track every specific single Bitcoin moving around. So in a scenario where the single euros become an entry on the ledger of the central bank and are the actual euro over there, that opens interesting scenarios.
Yeah, it's a stretch of
money. You have money today, but you have no more money tomorrow, just because someone decided you have no money.
Yeah.
One of the interesting scenarios that I would like to know.
I agree. It's also another nice project to keep an eye on, at least to see how it's going to evolve. It's very curious. I agree.
Exactly. So we'll see. There might be something that on the other side, of course, opens up a lot of improvements in the way capital moves and flows and the correct use of money. But again, I don't know. I feel a bit libertarian sometimes on these issues.
Yeah, no, I totally see that. Awesome. So, just in conclusion, one article that I completely loved, it's the article from Vincenzo Elifani about the pro bono incubator for Italian founder. I thought it was a great story, so I encourage people that are listening to check it out from Nicolo's newsletter. Essentially, Vincenzo is someone that is trying to support the gap between students and founders, so helping students become founders in the most effective way. So he is basically, together with some other people, launched a very interesting concept of incubator, just to help out essentially like the ecosystem evolve in a very, very significant and quick way. And it's called Astra, and I thought it was a great project.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to say anything about the content of the article other than read it, because it's a debriefing of the initial concept and execution and how it ended up, and the major things that we learned in the process. So it's very, very interesting and a nice story to read.
It's a nice story. I agree. And in terms of result, they also, they followed up on about 20 companies. 6 of them are still alive and thriving. So in such a short time, they had like very interesting results. So it was very good. Right, Nick, thank you so much for joining, and thank you everyone for listening, and I'll see you all next week then.
Thank you, Jack. Have a great day, and bye-bye everybody. See you in a week.